Luther's Small Catechism with Explanation, the Black and Maroon edition, copyright 2017, from Concordia Publishing House. The fifth commandment, you shall not murder. What does this mean? We should fear and love God so that we do not hurt or harm our neighbor in his body, but help and support him in every physical need. First, we fear and love God by not harming our neighbor. Harming our neighbor includes C, neglecting to assist people in bodily need. 155 Deuteronomy 15:11. For there will never cease to be poor in the land. Therefore I command you, you shall open wide your hand to your brother, to the needy, and to the poor in your land. 156 Matthew 25:42-43. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you did not welcome me. Naked, and you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison, and you did not visit me. What does this mean? This part of the commandment of how do we help other people around us in the commandment. So there's a don't do harm kind of thing, but then there's the flip side of it of some actions that we're supposed to be doing of helping our neighbor and their bodily needs. And this is a difficult one, and really one that is every day we should be in prayer about and seeking God's will and seeing our neighbor and their needs. Because so oftentimes there is a paralysis that we have as Christians, and there's different reasons for this paralysis. One is people will say, well, everybody's my neighbor, so I have to give money to everybody and every cause and everybody who comes up to my door, which is not really wise. And in certain instances, is not really the best case as your neighbor, because many times in the scriptures, the word neighbor is a really close proximity to you, because the Holy Spirit in your vocation and in your life is allowing you to see and be a part of people are right around you. Now, that doesn't mean you can't give money to people outside, like Compassion International or other people out in the world. That's still good. But this is really more narrowly focused up. If you see your neighbor in need, do something about it, not just pass them by. And this is really the Good Samaritan kind of parable talking about who is your neighbor. And that's a specific thing. It's not talking about people who are robbed on the way to Rome. It was talking about people who were robbed on the way to Jerusalem. The person saw it with their own eyes. They were physically present with it. They were very close. I need to help my neighbor in their bodily needs that has for that. So just to be aware of it. Like I said, it doesn't mean that you don't give or don't do things outside of that, but this is really focusing in on your vocation and your life of who is your neighbor every day. The next thing that sometimes we have paralysis with is the problem we have in America and other places too, where people panhandle. And it's not because they have a bodily need. It's not a need, it's a want. And that, I think, is very hard to determine. It takes some wisdom. But people who are parents and people who are teachers and people who are even in law enforcement and things, they can get a gist of, is it a need or is it a want? And needs are the basic needs of things. Needs are, it's an emergency. Needs are, if I don't do this, they're going to die or they're going to be really hurt or something like that. Wants are, hey, give me $1 because I'm hungry, I'm going to go to McDonald's. Or give me some money, God bless you, because I'm panhandling here. That's kind of a want. And I know this too in talking with people who are truly homeless versus people who are panhandling. Panhandling is kind of a business now. There are some people who do have needs there, that is true, but for the most part, it's not really great. And how do we encourage them to move to somewhere where Christians are at to give their needs and their wants? And so sometimes too, this is how do we talk with them with respect? How do we say, maybe I'm not going to entitle you by just giving you money because you're on the corner, but I'm going to give you something you need. I'm going to give you a bottle of water because you do need water. Or I'm going to give you the actual food because you do need food. Something of that nature. You do have to be wise in our day and age today because people use it to their advantage, not because they have needs. In the ancient church, this used to happen with an alms bucket outside of the temple. And so when people had a need, they would go to the temple to be supplied. They'd go to the synagogue. They'd go to their friends and their relatives this way and say, hey, the church helps supply this, and I know where to go. And I think that's actually a fairly good model to help people out to say, hey, we want to give you something you need, but we want to tie you with something you need even greater. We want you to go to worship. We want you to hear word. We want you to be connected with the sacraments. We want you to be forgiven of sins. Because then if you're our brother or sister, you're even closer to us and we can take care of you and we can help you. So something to think about as we do this in our day and age.
The Lord bless your day as well as your week.